Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to come here and share my experience. I'm basically from the development practitioner side, so maybe I will not talk very rigorous kind of things. I will talk a little bit from the perspective of the development side. So bear with me, if there are some, not a conflict, but sometimes we talk, went through the field levels and looking from the development perspective. Today, basically, what I'm going to talk is we have done some collaboration work with the Yale Himalaya Initiatives in India and Nepal projects. So basically, we will focus on that. But besides of that, I will also go through the very shortly about the, I'm working with the Lutheran World Relief and what is that Lutheran World Relief and where we are working, what does the sectors we are working on. I will give a very brief discussion on that part, and I will focus on our projects that the Yale Himalaya Initiatives and Lutheran World Reliefs we are working together for developing the resilience measurement. Let me start. Lutheran World Relief is US-based humanitarian organization. Our headquarters is in Baltimore, and it was founded in 1945 after the Second World War. That. And Lutheran World Relief, we are working in all over. I think it's 33 countries, 33 countries in the world, and we are working in the Asia and Middle East, and we are also working in Africa, and we are also working in the Latin America. So all over we are working in the 33 countries. In some countries we directly work, in some of the countries we are working through our implementing partners. So that is our method. What we do, basically we are working in the three sectors. One is agriculture, second one is the climate change, and also another bigger component of Lutheran World Relief is emergency operations. Basically, if there are some disasters comes up, flood, maybe the earthquake or firing or other political conflicts also arises, then Lutheran World Relief will try to support the communities. In the agriculture, I will not go in details, but what we do in agriculture sector is agriculture value chain, food security, capacity strengthening for the associate of cooperatives, rural financing kind of things, climate smart agriculture and water. That is the themes we work under the agriculture. And under the climate change, it's the climate agriculture we call it. The theme or core theme, the community-based disaster risk reduction, risk management. That is our main area that we have many interventions under that. And emerging we are also working on the deforestation, renewable energy kind of things are also there under the climate change. And this is one of the biggest operations we have all over the world, that if there are some disasters are coming up, we work for this one. And the core program areas are, we work for the shelters, and we also work for the food security, and early recovery kind of things. Just like in early recovery, we support the cash transfer, NFI and MR, NFI non-food items, and we also provide the method and resources. Food, blankets, that kind of things comes under the early recovery kind of things. So these are some of the, I would say that Lutheran World is one of the biggest component we are working in the other countries, that is the emergency operation. Here, because I'm going to talk about the transboundary resilience project in India and Nepal, so I will give you the very brief introductions that what we are doing in the India and Nepal. Our India office was established, we are working in the India in 1950, and currently we have a project in agriculture, climate change, emergency operations, Basically, we are working with the small older NGOs there. We have around 6 projects currently. These are the small projects. It's a 3 years, 4 years. Some of the projects are even lesser than that. And again, the sectors we are working, specializing, the sectors are agriculture, health chains, community-based early warnings, which is one component of our projects, which I'm going to talk about. In Nepal, we started a little bit late in Nepal. That has been active since 2009. We started there. And we have projects in agriculture, again the climate change and emergency operation. And again we are working in the, through the local NGOs. We don't implement the project ourselves. We collaborate with the local NGOs and they implement the projects. We support these NGOs. In Nepal, these are the, some of the districts we are working under that. We have been in the the central part of Nepal, eastern part of Nepal, and also some of the part of the in the western part of Nepal as well. So ongoing projects we have is Nepal Earthquake Response Project in Gorkha and Lomjung districts. Hopefully you have heard that we had a very big earthquake in Nepal, and we have been supporting to these earthquake victims through these projects. We call it NOR. So we have supported the shelters for them. Also we supported for the livelihood recovery for these communities. So these are the projects there. And one of our biggest project is Nepal-India Transboundary Resilience Project, which I'm going to talk later on details on that. And we have also the livelihood recovery support projects in Gorkha and Lomjung, as I mentioned earlier, the same for the same communities who are the victims from earthquake. And we have also the improvement in livelihood resilience of earthquake affected communities in Gorkha through the livelihood activities promotions. We have been also working in citrus market development. This is also one of our innovative that we are providing, supporting on the marketing perspectives for the citrus development in Nepal. Basically in the non-pricing Gorkha and Tanau. These districts are very famous for the citrus, and we are supporting to the farmers for marketing, cooperative marketing. And recently we have started, after the earthquake I would say, that we have started the urban DRR projects in Kathmandu area as well, because Kathmandu is a very prone area and very, it's a risky area that if something happens, it's very old cities, old buildings. So we thought that we need to work on the urban resilience as well. So we are working with the government of Nepal in Kathmandu area and trying to work on the capacity building of the governments, local governments of that. That is one of the part. We have this is started from the last year. It's a pilot project. And we have also another projects on coffee support projects in the Lomjung and Tanau Gorkha. And coffee is also one commodities famous in Nepal. Tea and coffee. Tea is basically famous in the eastern part of Nepal, and coffee is in the middle. So we are supporting not in the tea for the tea promotion, but we are taking the coffee as a commodity that we need to support the farmers, so that it is a cash crops, so that they can earn good income from that. Now I'm jumping to the projects that I wanted to share here. How did we come with these the projects? In 2013 to 14, we started the projects. We call it pilot project, Nepal-India cross-border oil warning projects. As you know that the flooding is one of the bigger disasters in Nepal, and our hydrology meteorology departments, they claim that this is the first one bigger disaster that every year there are some calamities and some damages in the lives and the livelihood of the communities. So it's roughly estimation is there are around 50 to 100 people died annually on that, and that's numbers increases in the India side. In the last years we had a big flood in August. And in Nepal side, we had around 175 people died killed from the flood. And India side, around 650 people died from that. So it has been the bigger issues that we need to support the communities to maybe reduce the vulnerability of the communities, or maybe we can increase their resilience so that they will not die. They will be able to cope with the floods. It's a natural disaster, so we cannot stop the natural disaster, but we can build the capacity of the communities so that if something is happened, at least they are able to cope with that. That is our missions for that. So that project was basically started in April 2013. We had taken only one component at that time because we are working, I will show you the map later, but we are working on the India and Nepal border areas that it's an open border between the India and Nepal, and all the rivers comes through the Himalayas and goes down to the downstream of the India sides, and that also goes to the Gangas in the Bangladesh in that part as well. So we thought that there should be the early warning systems, and the community should give the the early warning so that they can escape when something disaster or flood is coming, so they can go to the safe places. Looking from that perspective, we designed that project. It was a very short project at that time, and we got that there was a very good impact on that, and the communities liked very much on that part. But when we did the evaluation, and the evaluator come up with the one recommendations that these communities are mostly vulnerable communities. They are the socially excluded communities because they don't have a choice to go other side, and they are living on the bank of the rivers, and they are very vulnerable, very poor, and so you have to go for supporting the livelihood components of these communities as well. So next phase, in the another phase, when we call it the Nepal-India Transformed Resilience Project, we added one more component, learning from the first phase that we added the livelihood components in the projects. And basically we are working on the two river basins. I will show you on that part. So here in the second phase we had the early warning, community-based early warning systems, and another one is the livelihood components. We added on. And then this is another project that we started. This is from last December. We had the project. We got the grants from the water window, we call it GRP, Global Resilience Partnership, and we scale up our programs. Before we just confined on the few communities of these two river basins we were working, but later we scale up when we get the grants from the GRP, Global Resilience Partnership. So the Global Resilience Partnership is a kind of the consortium, USAID, CEDA, and Rockefeller Foundations, and Zurich Insurance. They are putting the money in there and supporting to this window that we call it water window. Basically for the flood resilience kind of things. So we started. And we are working on the two river basins and the two districts in the Nepal side of the upstream communities and two districts in the downstream communities. Altogether 4 districts in the India and Nepal. And we have 4 implementing partners, 2 implementing partners in Nepal side and 2 implementing partners are India side. And we have also the technical partners, we would say that just like Himalaya Initiatives. And we have also another ADPC, Asian Disaster Preparedness Centers, who are based in Bangkok. They are also our partners for this one programs. And another one is the Nature Aid. They are just like an international NGO like the Lutheran World Relief. So we are in the consortium. It's a bigger project, I would say. Altogether, so we have around 12 stakeholders we are implementing projects. So it's a 1 million project, and the project going to end by this July end, so coming soon. And that's all from the very brief introductions of that project. And we are working almost 178 communities from the India and Nepal. And we have a target beneficiaries. We need to reach out to 72. Yes.
Just because you were giving an introduction, I was interested in the area. If you can go back, you said one more. Yeah, Sipol. Do you mean Supol?
Sipol.
India, Sipol.
Yeah, that is the India's district.
It's called Supol.
Supol.
Supol. Okay. And so Birpur is in Supol. It's a town in Supol. And Kushinagar, where is that?
Kushinagar is in the Gandak River basin.
Also, but that's in UP.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
And here the Sipol, that is the eastern part of the the India.
Right, on the Kazikaraj.
Yes, right. Thank you. And we have a target beneficiaries is around 72,000. 72,000. That is our target beneficiaries. We need to reach out to them. Basically, not for we are reaching out for all the components, but we are trying to reach out to them that we can provide all-in-one systems to this number of people. In the beginnings, we had only 32,000 people, but when we plan for scaling up the programs, then we come up with these targets. And we have already reached out because there are a lot of other the activities that we come up with the mass SMS systems we have developed with the government of India and Nepal. So we have to do that. Basically, I wanted to show the maps. We are here. We are in the eastern part of Nepal. You can see other side, that is the Kosi River basins that is coming up. And here in the center of the, very near to the Kathmandu, Chitwan, I would say that is the Gandak River basins. Gandak and Narayani is the same. If I say sometimes Gandak or Narayani, don't be confused. That is the same river basins. And another one is the Kosi River basins. Here, this is the basically, the concept of our programs, or we call it the result framework for this. And we have now, in our current projects, we have basically the three components. One is we are trying to strengthen the community-based early warning systems. And second one is we are trying to improve their livelihoods components, basically the flood resilience livelihoods. And third one is because the government of India and Nepal both sides, they are not giving the proper attention to these communities, to this kind of issues. Then we have also one of the advocacy components, so that we need to knock the door of the governments and asking them to support to these communities. So that is one part, and another part is also we don't have a sufficient policy and strategies as well. So we have identified some of the gaps on that, and the ADPC is very good on that part, the Asia Disaster Preparedness Centers, and they are supporting us to working with the governments of India and Nepal, specifically on the policy documents kind of things. They are working and supporting us on that part. These are the basic components that we are working on that. Under the community-based early warning systems, we are basically developing the community-based institutions in the grounds. So that, as I mentioned, that we are working in the two river basins. One is in the Kosi and another is in Gandak. In the Nepal side, in the upstream of the communities of Nepal, we are developing the the DRR institutions, local DRR institutions there. And we are the similar things we are doing in the downstream communities in the India side as well. And we are trying to develop their relations between the upstream communities of Nepal and the downstream communities of the India. So we call it, there is one special activities, we call it the transboundary citizen forums. That means they represent the peoples from the India and Nepal side and sit together and discuss on a quarterly basis and pass the messages from upstream of India and Nepal to downstream communities of the India. That is we have set up that kind of the things so that these communities are getting early warning systems in a very short period of the time, and they can go for in a safer place when the disaster or flood comes on that part. And under that, we have been also working with the government of Nepal and India, especially on the hydrology meteorology departments, and we are supporting to the the governments to develop the. They have already the SMS systems. Recently they have, but in our communities, they are not that plan on that, and they call it the polygons. They need to add on the polygons on that our communities as well. So we have supported to the governments to add the more polygons in our project areas, and we have a separate MOU with the government of Nepal with the hydrology meteorology departments to support this one projects. And it's good to share with you that the MOU is for 5 years. We have already signed, and they are very eager to they have acknowledged our projects that what we are doing in the grounds and very helpful to the communities, and they are very willing to support their mass SMS systems to our communities as well. So we have signed the agreements with them already. And our communities, from the last, the floods, our communities also received the mass SMS systems in that areas. One. And the good thing is I already I given some of the data that there was some causalities, human causalities on that. But I'm happy to share that in our project areas, in 2 river basins, there were no human causalities in that. And the data which I share you, these were from the other river basins. But there was only one causalities in the Gota river basins, but that was not because of this flood. I mean that was because of the flood, but it was came in the very after the 3-4 days later on, and he went to the to drag the the wood from the the river, and at that times because of this accidentally he died on that. Only the one causality was there, but it was not at the time of flooding. It was after the 3-4 days after flooding. So we are not counting that the causalities in our river basins. But in other river basins, if you see, there are a lot of causalities. So I would say that our community-based early warning systems, it is working on that. Why I am saying the community-based early warning system working? If you think through, hopefully I have one slide somewhere. I will talk later on. I should have it. One slide is if you go through the the government's channels, the early warning systems, how it works. In the Kosi river basins, when they get the information that goes to the Kathmandu, Kathmandu to Delhi, Delhi to Patna, Patna to again the Bilpur or Shipur, kind of things. It goes like that. It's a very long process with that, and it's almost it takes 48 hours to reach the information to the communities of India side. So, but when we build up the these community-based early warning systems, directly we can communicate that, and our communities people are very active. So now we had a midterm review reports that we come up with the data that we have reduced that time, and now within the 10 to 12 hours, all the communities from the India side or downstream, they can get the information if there are some floods are coming, that kind of things is happening. That is too much power. Maybe, yeah. This is the flood resiliency approach we are adopting. This is not only for this one project, but LWR applying this approach to the other projects as well. So basically we are looking for the absorptive capacities, adaptive capacities, and transformative capacities. If you look into our the reserve framework, as I showed you before, basically the absorptive capacities is we are trying to make their the capacities when the flood is coming. It's a preparation kind of things. They can cope with that if the flood is coming. And adaptive is a bit of the long term. If the flood hits to the communities, they should have some optional that they can go, just like a livelihood flood resilience livelihoods. That helps to them to cope up quickly with that and recover where they were before, right? And transformatives, we have not done much on the transformative capacities of the communities. Basically, it takes a long time because it's about the policies and the institutional development kind of things. But as I already mentioned, that we have signed a MOU with the government, and we have been working on the early warning SOPs. So we are also supporting on some sort of the transformative capacities. But if we continue our projects next time, or maybe if we are able to continue, then certainly we need to focus on transformative capacities on I mean, here the shocks, maybe the shocks and stresses that will be the flood, disaster, or whatever. Then we are trying to increase their, these capacities of the communities. It means that will contribute to the development goals. The resilience is not the aim, but resilience is the means to achieve the development goals. Key questions: how we start is we need to develop the capacities of the communities as well. The resilience has been, I'm sorry, but it has been the buzzword to the every institutions saying the resilience, resilience, resilience everywhere. If you go in the health, educations, every sectors nowadays, every institutions they are talking about the resilience, climate change, and others. And the resilience has been the common. And sometimes it's very difficult to understand as well. What does that mean by it? But we have simplified that, what does that mean for us on that project. We should have an answer of what was the resilience to what? It's a flood, it's an earthquake, or it's a fire, or what? That needs to be clear. To whom we are working with. Maybe the communities, maybe the municipalities or governments, or to whom, for whom we are working with. And how we can develop the resilience. In our project, as I mentioned, these are the three components we are trying to work with that. So these are the process or methods that we are trying to develop the resilience in that. And for what? Basically for the, it's not for the aim, but it's contributing to the development goals in that part. And where certainly that in our project areas, these are the cross-border areas of India and Nepal in two river basins. During this flood resilience kind of things when we talk about, so we have also this, we call it attributes. So we think about that our the interventions should be the robustness. We also measure on that. Robustness, self-organizations, learnings, redundancies, rapidity, scales, flexibility, diversity, and these are the attributes we consider for measuring the resilience. When we say that our communities has been resilience, then our communities should have this kind of attributes in that part. We consider for that. But in some of the attributes we have been doing good, but in some of the attributes we have not done a lot, because there are a lot of things to do again. So that is the one, the resilience for us. For the the developing the capacities of the partners and also the communities, we use this the dynamic resilience weights. It's a part of the capacity building one tool. Just I wanted to share you that we are using it to the when we go for training to the the NGOs or maybe the local communities. It is in English, but we have also developed it in local language. So it's very easy to teaching to the communities with this ways, because they don't understand what we are talking about when you go through talking about the attributes. It's that kind of thing. So it helps to understand them. What does that mean by? We are basically in our projects. We are looking in the livelihood assets, basically on the human, social, physical, natural, and the financial and the political. So these are the our interventions are mainly focused on supporting to this the assets and capitals and that parts. And we are considering these frameworks as one of the the tools that we are working on this conceptual frameworks where we fit in if we're looking from the theoretical perspectives. Just I already talked about, I will not go in details. I mentioned that we have one major component is strengthening the early warning systems through the DRI institutions. We have formed the groups and we have developed the communication chart from upstream to downstream. These communities, they can use it by themselves. We have provided these communities the life-saving equipments. It means that the life jackets, sirens, and also the ropes. It's a set of the equipment we have given to these communities. If something is happened, they can use that immediately and rescue the communities if something is happened. We have provided that kind of things to the communities. That belongs to the communities, is under the ownership of the communities. And linkage and networking with the local government is one of our major components that we are working, because ultimately the government should lead on that, and because government is always there, the NGOs, we are not there always. We are there for a short period of time to educate the people, to support, or just giving the training kind of things. But the government is always there, so that when we develop the linkage with the governments, then governments will support to these communities.
Are you talking about local government rather than the federal level?
Yes. Basically, our project, more intervention are more related with the local governments.
Yeah.
We are trying to link with the community with the local governments, but we have also the few activities with the working with the national government. As I mentioned earlier, the ADPC, the data institutions, we are working with the national level governments to developing and supporting some of the policies, kind of things on that. Recently, we are working on policy, early warnings and LWR policies of Bihar governments and the Nepal governments. And we have already developed the one SOPs, we call it the early warning SOPs for the government of Nepal. That is, we have already done. And the one mass SMS systems is already there, and that is properly working on that part. So these are some of the national levels we are working. But day to day, we are working with the local levels, municipalities and rural municipalities. Transboundary early warning system, how it works. Here, if you see that there are the flood gates are there, these belongs to the governments, and we have a DHM, Department of Hydrology Meteorology, and we have also the districts level emergency operation centers at the districts level, and that information goes to the down there. If you can see here, the downstream communities. I mean that transboundary citizen forums. So these, when they get this kind of the flood information from this, the government stakeholders, they rectify, verify these informations with the government data and government stakeholders. Then they pass that information to the upstream communities of India side. And the India side communities, then they, after they pass the message to the downstream of the, even in the India side of that. So this is the basically the how we work for the early warning systems. Earlier I had mentioned that if you go through the the government channels, it takes the 48 hours to pass the message from upstream to downstreams. But we have reduced that hours. Now the communities of India side, they can get the informations, early warning systems within the 15 hours. So that is also one of the great achievements we have done. This data came through our the external evaluators. And one of the another components was, as I mentioned, the promote the flood resilience livelihoods. We are supporting the flood resilience demo plots. On that part, we have been supporting the flood resilience varieties to the communities for the the rice and vegetables kind of things we have supported, and we have also supported the off-farm because we are working on that communities where they don't have land as well. So around 28 to 30% people are landless. Then we should have some options that we need to support to them. That's why we have been supporting on the skill training kind of things with the off-farm. So they are doing that kind of things and promote the insurance schemes on that. Basically, we are promoting the saving and credit. We are developing the cooperatives and strengthening these communities, and also we have linked these communities with the insurance, so that if something is happened, they can get reimbursed from the insurance. So at least they can increase their coping mechanism, so that they quickly build back their assets. Here. It's about the facilitating policy advocacy for early warning. Basically, we are working on the transboundary citizen forums, as I mentioned, that in India and Nepal, transboundary citizen forum is the key for us because they are the passing the information from upstream of the communities to the downstream of the community. That's why it's taking a very in a shorter period of the time they can pass the message and spread out to their communities. So That is the things we are doing, and we are working some of the policies as I already mentioned. So now I'm jumping to our partnership with the Yale Himalaya Initiatives and the LWR. We started our partnership in May 2015, I guess, if I am not mistaken. Our partnership started from there. And the purpose of our partnership is basically theoretical backing to the measures, the effectiveness of LWR flood resilience programs. Because we are working, and there are a lot of the other agencies. They are working. They have their own tools for in the the flood resilience measurement. How we can say that our communities have been the improving, or they are the flood resilience kind of things. That was the key question for us. That how we can say that. With that questions, we come up with the discussion with the the Yale Himalaya Initiatives. We discuss, okay, how you can support us to develop the programs or tools, so that in our peer agencies we can say that, okay, we have done this, and communities have improved on that part, so they are flood resilience at this time. So with that perspectives, we come up with this, and Yale Himalaya Initiatives, they are supporting us to develop the flood resilience measurement tools on that part, so that we can use it, and we can, with the evidence, with the rigorous and more kind of the academic research kind of things, we can say that, okay, our communities were here, now our communities, because of our interventions, the communities have improved this the flood resilience on this part, on that part. Not necessarily all the times that will go in there. They will increase or can become the resilience, but sometimes ups and downs that can be also happens. But the tool which we had developed together with the Yale Himalaya Initiatives and LWR, that is really the useful for us. There are a lot of other tools as well. A lot of peer agencies have also tools. The beauty of these tools is we have tried to accommodate with the practitioner perspectives as the LWR, and also the academia to the Yale Himalaya Initiatives. We try to link with that, because if you only look from the academia, then that will not apply to the in communities. I may be wrong, but sometimes that does not apply on that part. But as practitioners, we come from the practitioner side, development practitioners, and Yale Himalaya Initiatives came in the academia side. And we sit together, we discuss our tools and the indicators, and finalize that tools. And now, I will go more in details on that. Maybe our colleagues will also talk about what are the main findings on that. But we come up with the concrete ideas. We sit together, we discuss together, and we accommodate it. I would say that it's a comprehensive, looking from the academic perspectives and the development practitioners' perspectives. And it's a very simple one. It's not very much time consuming, and still there are some feedbacks we are working on. But compared to the other tools, I would say that we have developed very good tools, practical tools, and we can apply to our communities, because we have already piloted that tools, and it has given the good results on that part. So my colleagues will, they will talk later on that. These are the guiding principles. I have already mentioned it. I will not go in details. When we had a discussion with the LR, and these were the basic principles we applied from the Yale Himalaya Initiatives and from the LWR parts as well. This is the methodology we had applied on the overall process. And do you want to go on this slide, or yeah, maybe you can go.
Do you want us to? I think.
Or I can talk about that. This slide, then after.
Yeah, you know the area better.
Yes, right. So for these tools, what we have done is it's a pilot. So what we have done is we have taken the 4 communities, especially in the Gandak River basins, in the Kushinagar side of here in the India, and in the North Prash area of the Nepal. So we have taken that. If you look into the 2 spots there, these are the Nepal side, and the downstream side you can see the communities in the India side. So we have taken basically the name are already there. Basically, what we have in the criteria when we took these communities, one was little bit further from the riverside, and one was very closer, more vulnerable to the community from the flood, and another was the lesser vulnerable to that community. So that way we had taken this the samples are clearly on that part. But samplings of this is basically looking from the socioeconomic conditions and that part geographical similarities. And in India and Nepal, where we are working, almost we have the same the similarities on that part. So these are the things. Maybe from here you can take or
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks, Narayan. Hello, everyone. So when it comes to sampling, so the communities that Narayan had spoke about, there are 4 communities, and what Yale Himalaya Initiative decided on was that they would take 10%, it would be a 10% random sample and a panel survey for these 4 communities. And when we're looking at these communities, we're looking at, so 10% of the households, but also we have focus group discussions. And focus group discussions was taking a number of people from the community and asking them community-based questions so that we can substantiate what households are saying based on the community answers.
I think before continuing, so I would like to say what is this tool we're saying? What is it? So basically, the idea is to measure 2 things. The first is measure resiliency. What is measuring resiliency? We'll go into details a little bit later. But it's basically based on the Sustainable Livelihood Framework, the Yale Himalaya Initiative, together with LWR, build a set of indicators to see how the community performs or is doing before pre-flooding and post-flooding, pre and post-monsoon. And then we're also able to see the bounce back of the community. This means there were, I will be very graphic, and we haven't heard this. So this is the community. The flooding comes, his hit goes down, and then we see how the community recovers, and we're able to measure that and see how that changes over time. Don't hit me for that. It was a soft punch. So yeah, that's the concept of the tool and what we're doing.
So like Camilo had said, we have local enumerators, so partner organizations that are in the area already. And what they're doing is pre and post monsoon, they're collecting data from these households and these community groups. And these local enumerators have tablets, and they have the Google Open Data Kit on their tablets. So they can easily go to a household, enter all the information in, ask those questions to the households, and just have it right there on the tablet. And the great thing about the Google Open Data Kit is that we can take that information and put it into an Excel sheet, which then goes into the resiliency measurement tool that we've developed.
Yeah, and why is it measuring a tool in Excel? It's basically under the assumption that everyone has Excel everywhere. Regardless if you have the license or not, you always get Excel all over the world in every PC. And people are usually familiar with the use of Excel, so it should be simple to use for any implementing partner either from LWR or any other organization.
And can I just say, Camilo and I are really excited to showcase this resilience measurement tool. This is something that we've both been working on, and it seems really dense, but once you get the hang of it, it shows a lot of potential.
So actually, there is a lot of details that I will show, but basically as a user, you get the data from the Google Data Kit, you place it here, and you will get your numbers. So, but what does the tool do? So, once you have the raw data, we have basically household numbers. So this is village Huneeus, and well, all the households, and each if different indicators. How is an indicator built? It was through this iterative process. We take from flooding indicators, the poverty, World Bank poverty indicators that were used before by LWR, and those indicators have a number that will range from 0 to 1. We're just discussing maybe changing that scale from 0 to 10 or 1 to 10 in order to be maybe easier to comprehend. And the tool basically what it will do is for each asset, you will have the average indicator for, let's say, the average interest rate, which is actually interest rate is an interesting case because the bigger the number, if it's 1, the number is mean like you have the best interest rate. So actually that's when it's 0 interest rate, or close to 0. It's a complement. So you will have an average of the indicators in each, the household in each indicator, and then you have the total score for that asset, which is one of the 5 assets from the sustainability framework, and then you get the whole total score. For here, if you wonder what is this colors, it's just showing you if there is a statistically significant difference between one round of the other. But actually, I think that's something we're not touching so much here. No, we're not. To see the changes, if actually there was a difference over time in the villages, we were using repeated measures ANOVA, which is something very hard to implement in Excel. Technically possibly, but it's actually a mess if you do that in Excel. You can maybe talk about the calculus.
So with these asset capitals, what we're doing here is these are aggregates of all the indicator questions. So once we have this aggregated, we can then start looking at bounce back, so coping capacity. So what we've done is we take round 2 and we subtract that from round 1. So we're taking the aggregate of round 2, subtracting that from the aggregate of round 1 to find the coping capacity of each of these assets, but then also the overall.
So why is that the round 2 and the round 1 is again is pre-flooding, post-flooding. So how was Zach before I hit him, and how he is when I hit him, after I hit him, and we can see over time if that capacity, how he recovers after the hit, is changing over time. One of the nice things.
So this is I believe Shidpur, one of our communities, and what we've done is round 1, round 2, we've color coded it and we've shown where all these capitals lie based on the aggregates. So for instance, this past round for natural capital, because of the intensity and severity of the floods in 2017, we can see how natural capital this last round has gone down so much lower than past rounds.
So now, well, this is work in progress.
Yeah, Martin, do you have a question?
Yeah, what is natural capital here?
Natural capital here is so land, agricultural land, woodlands, anything that has to deal with the community's natural environments, what the community is using naturally.
If your land was flooded, how much of your land was flooded or was not flooded, how much agricultural land you have, which is not the same as physical. Physical is roads, houses, infrastructure.
Infrastructure, yes.
So this is a work in progress. This is what we presented in Patna in December. What it has changed is basically the way we present the results, or we will present the results. So basically, what is this? Is basically saying one thing that we're not doing now is not separating the indicators that are from the household surveys only on the indicators from household brass focus group discussion. We should look at the whole thing because we're missing information if we don't include the focus group discussion questions. So we can see basically if there are statistical significance in the difference in the bounce back over time, and the arrows means that the bounce back was actually improving, going up or going down. And you can look at each indicator, at each asset, to see if there's a better or worse condition and a change in the bounce back over time. So the better or worse condition is the total result, and the other thing is the bounce back. Keep in mind that there is a diminishing returns here. The better you are, the less you will be hit and the less your bounce back will be in the end. Because if a sack is really strong and I hit him, nothing might happen because it will be too weak at some point. And yeah, these are details that.
Narayan, did you want to go over challenges and solutions, or did you want us?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So one of the challenges when dealing with the tool is when we're working with our indicators, and some of our indicators are simply on a 0 to 1 scale, and other indicators are subjective. So what we've done with that is we try to standardize all of our questions to a 0-1 scale, so it's even across the board.
Another challenge is, well, the sampling, the household absence. After 3 years, households do change, they are not there when the survey comes. My understanding is that in the field they're replaced by the
Other neighbors.
other neighbors.
In case of, they if died, that respondents died or migrated to that communities, to the another the areas. If we are not able to reach out to them, then certainly we have taken the night in the household.
So what we've done in that regard, there are two things. One, for the use of the tool at the LWR, you're using the replacement. We only look at the household for the statistical analysis that are the whole time. When we don't have the same household over time, we just drop it. It's like we don't have it for 4 rounds, and then that's why maybe I don't know the numbers exactly, but some villages has in total each round like around 60 households, and we're including sometimes 50 because they're having changes, etc. And I think you can speak much better to the challenge.
Regarding the what you had talked about before, the problems, reducing the numbers. In the beginnings, we had thought that at the beginning, at least we had planned our sample size 10% more. The thinking that there will be the dropout rates from this totally the samples which we consider, so that we have taken on that part. And another challenge which you are talking here. During that period, during this, the period of our implementation of the projects, majorly the two major challenges we faced. One is the earthquake, that was happened in April 2015, and we had very difficult times there, and nobody was able to move from one to another places, and we had also the need to focus on that areas. And that was the bigger challenges we faced. And our project area has a lesser impact with the earthquake, but our the staffing and our resources we applied to these areas. We went there and supported, and we couldn't give them more attention to our project areas like that. And another one was we had a very long the strike, as I mentioned earlier, that we are working in the cross-border areas. It's India and Nepal. And from the India side, it was blocked. The roads and everything was blocked. Just like we normally import the things from the India side, it's the food and other the marketing materials as well. And at that time, we suffered very much. And during that time, even there was some security issues that we had some threats to go to the India side and collecting the data on that part. So that also, hampered to the projects, and also because of that reasons, we also pushed back our surveys. We couldn't collect the data on time, so we pushed back a little bit later on that. So this is
Please. Oh, sorry.
Will you leave some time for questions?
Yeah, that's why I was looking at the presentation, because we have 15 minutes. You have some pictures in maybe? Yeah, you are the start here, so I don't know.
No, I don't have, just I wanted to show the pictures that from the project side. It's not, here we are using, we call it the flood gauge here. This is the, there, that all the communities, we are keeping that kind of the flood gauges in the bank of the rivers. If the floods comes, then community people, they go there and see what levels of the flood is coming. And then after, if the crossing the, the danger level, then communities start to, passing out the information or checking the information to the government agencies, and then after they pass. In other ways, these are the community-based, early warning systems we have provided to the communities. So they use these during the, early warning systems. Here is the miking, the people-to-people communications. Here, this is again the mass SMS systems, and again the communicating and educating the peoples in the community that be aware the flood is coming. You need to be prepared. You need to go here and there, and they communicate like that. And we have developed this kind of display board there. The community people can see that if the flood raising the level, then they can see there and they can pass the information to the downstream communities of Nepal. We have linked these things with the hydrology meteorology department of Nepal, so that the government has the informations. We have bring this information to the communities of Nepal side, and once they look into this database, they can pass to the downstream of the communities. Right? These are the community-based, the early warnings in the India side especially. If the flood is coming and that kind of things, they have a local level, the knowledge they have developed. There is the red, green, and yellows. Based on that, they just on and off these the lights, and the community people know about that. What stage the communities are there, or what stage of the flood is coming, so that they can be prepared in advance. Before we used to use the flag, but a little bit in every stage of the phase of the project we have been improving on that part. Before we had the same thing, having the the red, green, and the yellows flag, putting in the the communities and that. But now it is more solar systems. We have used the solar systems and used community-based early warning systems. Here is a simulation exercise, mock drill we do, during the floods, so that communities are aware how to prepare, how to respond, and what to do during the floods if something is happening. So this is a part of the capacity building. Policy forums, kind of the things we have done, and we have also distributed the relief items, during that floods. These are some of the pictures. And we have also given the flood resilience varieties. Here, the rice and these vegetables. Thank you. That's all.